Hello, hello, everybody. It's Karima Rainmaker Stewart, and we are back with another conversation in the Money Joy Masterclass. Today, I have the honor of introducing you all to Cary Bayer, and his topic today is a kind of a unique one. It's one that you wouldn't necessarily associate with shifting your money relationship to abundance, but he's going to talk with us about forgiveness and prosperity. But before we go there, let me say hello. Hi, Cary. How are you?
I'm doing great. Let's make some rain.
Let's make it rain. I love it. I love it. Yes, and when you take into account your forgiveness journey and do the forgiveness work, you take back your reign. You rule your life. You basically just take control. You take it back. You take your power back, right? And that's how we create prosperity in our lives. But before we dive in, just want to give you a little bit of information about Cary. He's a keynote speaker and a New York and Florida-based life coach who's worked with Oscar winners Alan Arkin from Little Miss Sunshine and Pietro Scalia from JFK and Black Hawk Down. He has also worked with Emmy Award winner David Steinberg from the Academy Award presentations, as well as Judy Henderson from Homeland. Quality Ends has also been a client. The author of 13 books, including Prosperity Aerobics, 40 Days to a Happy Life, Relationships 101, Conscious Communication, and How to Overcome Procrastination. Now, he's a former TM teacher and trainer of teachers and is the founder of Higher Self Healing Meditation. You can reach him at successaerobics@aol.com, as well as on his website, www.carybayer.com. Cary Bayer, wow, glad to have you here.
Pleasure. Pleasure's all mine.
Awesome. So we actually have had some technology challenges for you folks viewing, and so we know because we fought so hard to get this interview done. This is our second attempt, and this one you want to pay very close attention to. We want you to get your pen, get your paper, and really pay attention to what Cary is about to share with us because it's very, very powerful. So Cary, just tell us as we jump in here. Tell us how you came to this work as a transformational life coach and how the topic of forgiveness and prosperity has been reflected in your own life.
Well, the process that I teach, I practiced for myself the first time about 30 some years ago. I was in utero at the time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. It was a very difficult time. I was actually about to be married, which actually that wasn't difficult. That was actually quite wonderful. But there was a relative of mine who was making things pretty difficult and wasn't going to come to the wedding, and it was very, very painful. And as a result, I went through this process that I'll be sharing with you. And what I discovered was that in going through forgiveness of this particular relative, amazing things happened. I'll explain in a moment how the forgiveness process works, but let me just give your viewers an opportunity to experience just understand what I experienced, which was really remarkable. This person who didn't come to my wedding sent me this just horrendous note of 18 pages. I can't call it a note. It was really quite intense and quite angry and quite hateful. But the process of forgiveness that I went through was so powerful. And I sent her a letter, as I'll be momentarily explaining how this all works. It involves writing a letter. And when she received the letter, she called me. And these were the days before caller ID. So you picked up the phone, you had no idea who was on the other end. Remember those days?
Yes, I do.
It was her. And the same person who wouldn't come to my wedding and didn't come to her own brother's wedding either, I should point out, said to me, and I quote, "Let's put the past in the past and create a whole new future together," which was really quite an extraordinary shift from the 18 pages of anger that I had received some time before. Well, what happened was in the next 7 days, I lost 7 pounds without changing the way I ate or exercised. Take that in for a moment.
Yep.
Unless you have some kind of really strange illness, there's no way that you can lose 7 pounds without changing what you eat or exercise.
Right.
Clearly, I had let go of something that was inside me. And I'm suggesting that what was inside me were unresolved feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Unresolved feelings toward other people block the amount of love and money that can come into your life.
Absolutely.
I
And I think,
also gained,
oh,
let
go
me
ahead.
say this, I also gained more income in the next month after that letter was sent than I normally made in about 5 months. So the amount of prosperity just went, was through the roof. As you said, the rain was made.
Right.
We were making rain.
Yeah.
Because you see, our stuff that we hold on to blocks
Mm-hmm.
energy, love, and money from coming in.
Mm-hmm. And also, how talk a little bit about the emotional state that you experience when before forgiveness and after forgiveness, because that's a form of prosperity as well.
Sure. I mean, I was really angry. I mean, I was angry. She not only did she not come, but she prevented her whole family from coming, and they were relatives that were quite close to me. So it was
Mm.
very painful and hurtful to have them not be at my own wedding. And so that hurt. It was a lot of anger, a lot of sadness. I mean, people said, "Well, where is?" And well, they're not going to be here. So it was a real strain on the wedding. So that was really painful. But after I went through my forgiveness process, I was at peace with her. And I have since seen her on several occasions when close relatives were married, and we've danced together, and it's been quite nice. We live about
Wow.
1,500 miles away, so we don't see each other. She's now divorced from that person in my family, so we don't really see each other anymore. But when I do, it's really quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
went from anger to peace,
Mm-hmm.
and my income flourished, and 7 pounds of something left.
Right. Right. So, kind of going in that vein, there's probably somebody in our viewing audience that's really trying to figure out what the heck does forgiveness have to do with prosperity? Like, how are those like really interrelated? You kind of touched on that a little bit, but is there anything that you can offer that can kind of break that down a little bit more?
Sure. I mean, being prosperous means connecting to the infinite source of prosperity, which is within us and outside of us. But if we have blocks that we learn from childhood, negative thinking, I'm sure many of your other uh, presenters who you're interviewing are going to be talking about how childhood conditioning by parents can limit our prosperity, especially if
Mhm.
we learn negative lessons that money is dirty, or money corrupts, or all those kinds of messages that I'm sure many of those presenters will be talking about. So those attitudes restrict how much prosperity we can experience, but also anger, uh, desire for revenge, all of these kinds of very strong negative emotions that we hold inside of us also block it. Jesus said it beautifully, blessed are the pure in heart, he said, for they shall see God. Well, I'd like to augment that, if I may,
Yes.
and say that blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see money miracles and love
Mm.
miracles and health miracles. Because when we let go of all that, the universe supports us. There's a well-known expression, nature abhors a vacuum. And what that means is that the universe wants to fill voids that are created. And when you let go of all that anger, all those strong emotions that I let go of in that forgiveness process that I'll share with you shortly, when I let go of that, openings are created, and the universe filled that opening with tremendous surges in prosperity and health.
Yes, yes, yes. When I first learned about forgiveness and prosperity and the connection, and I kind of told you this on the phone when we first talked, that just blew my mind. I learned that back in 2010, and the forgiveness work that I did just totally ushered in just a greater sense of well-being, more prosperity, just expanded my life in so many different ways. And I didn't even know that it was like I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian church, and it was all about forgive, forgive. But it was like, how? How do you really forgive someone on a fundamental cellular level? And when I learned that unforgiveness was blocking my prosperity, I was like, okay, I need to learn this. I need to be about this because I don't want anybody blocking my prosperity. So with that said, a lot of people think forgiveness is for the other person. They wronged me, Cary. I can't forgive them. The forgiveness is
You
for
don't have,
us.
you don't have to, but you suffer the price. That's the
Right.
problem. You
So
pay a price.
talk to us more about that.
You can
People
hold
think it's
on.
for them, but it's really for us.
Exactly. You can hold on to as much anger as you like, but
Mm-hmm.
you pay a price for that. A financial price, an emotional price, and a health price.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to pay that price, that's up to you. If, on the other hand, you'd like to prosper, have more love, better health, more energy, and better well-being, let go, because it's hurting you, not them. So, would you like me to explain how this works? This
Yeah, but
process?
first tell me, like, are they off the hook now? Does this mean that what they did was okay? Talk, because
No,
I
it's not
heard that
okay.
before.
It's not okay,
Okay.
but you don't forget.
Okay.
But by forgiving, you let go of all the stuff you're holding. The
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you're holding is what's poisoning you. If you want to be poisoned, hold on to it. If you want to prosper, let it go. And I'll share with you a very mature, sensible, grounded, emotionally honest process that will allow you to do that.
Okay, great. And make sure you're really loud when you share so they can catch everything.
I will be so loud that your computer screen will break.
Awesome.
Okay.
It would surprise me as much challenges as we had.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Okay.
It's not wise to go to the person directly and tell them, what's on your mind. And the simple reason is they're going to interrupt you. And by interrupting you, you're not going to be able to say your piece. The same applies to trying to do it over the telephone. People will interrupt as soon as you start unloading. So don't even try to do it in real time. And texting, same thing. They're going to interrupt you. So my recommendation is to write a letter. But the letter that you write, which will allow you to purge all of your strong feelings about what they did, that hurt you, that scared you, whatever it was, that abused you, you're not going to send this letter. So as a result, you can say anything you want. No one will ever see this letter except you.
Anything I want?
Let obscenities fly.
All right.
Those feelings are inside you and they need to come out.
Yeah.
So now you're a grown woman, so I don't, as a grown woman, you would earn the word woman. I would not use the word girl when I speak to you. However, I'm going to say the following. When you write this letter, don't be a good girl. And the reason I say good girl is because when you were a little girl, your mother taught you to be a good girl.
True.
Writing this letter, don't be a good girl.
Mm-hmm.
Let it fly. No one's going to see it. Okay? So all the hate, all the anger, all the rage, let it out. Don't be nice. Don't try to make this sweet and nice. Just all of it out.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go as long as it needs to go.
Yeah.
Okay? That's letter number 1. Letter number 2 is also not going to be sent. Remember, neither of these first 2 letters are going to be sent. Letter number 2 is very different. I'm going to give you an example from one of my favorite movies. I teach a couple of workshops on it, and I have a book that'll come out next year on it. And that movie is The Wizard of Oz. Okay? All right? Now, imagine that the Cowardly Lion was hearing this. You ever see the movie The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, I was the Tin Man in 5th grade.
Oh, there you go. Wonderful. I no longer assume that everyone has seen it. I've seen people
That's true.
in my classes who never saw it. I give a whole plot away.
I haven't seen Mary Poppins, so there you go.
Okay, well, that's a different story. Okay. So the lion, imagine the lion. He wants to write this letter to this wicked witch of the West who kidnaps his friend Dorothy, threatens to kill her. In the first letter, he wants to use his claws to tear her eyes out in rage at frightening him and scaring him, to kill her, to kidnap his friend Dorothy and to kill her. That's what she threatened to do. So he would get all that rage out. Now in the second letter, this cowardly lion has to figure out, how has this witch made my life better? How has she made me wiser? There was a great German philosopher in the 19th century named Friedrich Nietzsche. And Nietzsche wrote Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So this witch, or whoever you're writing to, has somehow made you stronger for the simple reason that she didn't kill you. And because she didn't kill you, she has made you stronger. And the purpose of the second letter is to figure out how you have been made stronger. Now, the Cowardly Lion, do you know how he was made stronger? Shall I say?
Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead.
Okay. He found the courage. No, he was a coward. He was
Yeah.
afraid of little 5-pound Toto. He found the courage to kidnap to rescue his friend Dorothy, who had been kidnapped, who had not only been kidnapped but was in this castle of a heavily guarded castle of this supernaturally empowered witch. Easily could have killed him. He found the courage to save his friend's life, and in finding the courage, he gained the very thing that was most missing in his life: courage. So in the second letter, what he discovers is that he found courage, the thing that was most missing for him. The reason we write the first letter, to the purging letter, to get rid of all your strong feelings before this second letter, is that there are people in our lives who have taught us wonderful lessons. And the people who have taught us wonderful lessons in a very beautiful way, we have love for, we feel wonderful about, right? However, there are also people who have taught us important lessons, but they did not teach them beautifully. They taught them painfully. This witch taught this lion a painful lesson, and whoever your viewers are holding strong feelings about, it's because those people have taught them important lessons, but they taught them painfully. And as a result, the hearts of your viewers are focused on the pain and not the lessons. Which is why in the first letter, you release the pain from your heart, and that frees your mind in the second letter to see what the lessons are.
Absolutely.
So in the case of the lion, he discovers that the lessons are that he found courage. He found the thing that was most missing in his life. Okay? He's not going to love this witch. He's not going to even like this witch. But he's going to be grateful to her, as we'll discover in the third letter. So let me explain the purpose of the third letter. The third letter is the one that gets sent.
Oh.
It's got 4 parts to it. Part A, you express what happened, but without anger, without judgment. If you feel anger toward the person, go back to the first letter and add whatever you need to say and just let that go.
Let me make sure I'm tracking. So letter 1, letter 2, and letter 3 has 4 parts.
Letter 3 has 4 parts.
Okay, so this is part, you just said part A. Okay, great. Just want to make sure I'm tracking.
Second part of the third letter, you express how it felt about what happened. Okay? I felt hurt. I felt sad. I felt betrayed. I felt angry, frightened, whatever it is.
Right.
But not you so-and-so. If you so-and-so is showing up in your feelings, go back to letter number 1 and get those your so-and-sos out there. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Third part of the third letter, how you grew from what happened. Okay? That's much of it is the second letter. See, the first 2 letters prepare you to write the third letter. So third letter, 4 parts. A, what happened. B, how you felt about what happened. C, how you grew from what happened. And D, and this is where your freedom and prosperity comes, thank you for that growth. The Cowardly Lion doesn't thank the witch for kidnapping his friend. That's not genuine. He thanks her for the courage he found in the process.
Wow.
Now, people say to me, Cary, should I send this letter? You could even send this letter to the person you're writing to, even if the person is deceased. Just leave your return address off, put the person's name, care of heaven, give them the benefit of the doubt, and just put it in the mailbox.
That was good, Cary.
Let the post office sort it out. Let them take care of it. If you don't know where the person lives, anywhere USA or anywhere in the world, just send it off. Put the stamp on it and let it go. Release it. It's like, people say, what if I should just burn the letter? No, you don't need to burn the letter. Give this person an opportunity to see the harmony that's possible. I mean, I think about my case where she gets on the phone, makes a call and says, let's create a whole new future together.
Mm-hmm.
So give them that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the person is violent, like a criminal, and is capable of true violence, that's an extenuating circumstance. You may not want to connect to that person, possibly. But you could also say the purpose of this letter is to complete our relationship, not to continue it. So my request is that you read it, but it's not necessary to respond.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing also that we need to make that discernment. So if it's somebody that's toxic, or it can be life threatening in some states. So we might just pretend that they are somebody that deceased, and we do it that way, the way that you gave us, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you think the person is potentially violent, then and could really come and hurt you, then that's an extenuating circumstance. But those are rare. Those are rare when you consider the numbers of these letters that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's a lot easier than the process I normally do.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's more genuine than just, snapping your fingers and say, I'm just going to let it go. That's nice if you can let it go, but it's I don't think it's as lasting as what I'm describing. Because what I'm describing gives you the opportunity to let so much of this stuff out.
Yeah.
You want to be genuine to your feelings.
Yeah, and I love it because it like allows you to be human, but then it allows you to reconnect to spirit and to the loving part of ourselves, and it helps us to really get in contact with that. Yeah, sometimes like when I've done forgiveness work, I feel like, yes, I have more joy and there's more prosperity, and then I find out I hit a wall, either with that person or maybe a relative. Something happens in my life, and it's a trigger, and it brings up this stuff. And so with my mentor, I've talked to her and I said, this is coming up, and she always says, well, you got 6 feet deep, now it's time to go 12, 20. So can you talk about this process of like constantly evolving in your forgiveness work? Because sometimes you are really complete on a cellular level, and then sometimes you think you're done, but there's more work to do.
Well, that can happen. I mean, I also want to make a distinction here. At the end of this process that I've just described, you don't necessarily have to love the person.
Right.
But what you're doing is you're getting to a place of gratitude for what they have brought into your life. If you can get to that place, that's great. That's great. Now, if you're in relationship with this person and they continue to do, things that are hurtful, abusive, and so forth, well, then that's creating new material. So you may need to, do this again with them. It happens. I mean, sometimes sometimes the people, that we're closest to can be very toxic,
Yeah.
It happens.
Absolutely. And we're all human, so it's going to be, the offenses will be to varying degrees, right? So,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, adultery is very different than, you didn't take out the trash, or you didn't wash the dishes, or I forgot to cook the meal or whatever. So yeah, I love how you just broke that down. So people, I guess, watching this may, have some resistance around it. So do you have any ideas or any thoughts on, because it's messy, it's hard, and it's the emotional work. Like if we have to do some physical work, we can just go do this physical work and be done with it, right? But when it comes to that emotional work, there tends to be a lot of resistance around that. So can you give us some tips and tools and strategies to kind of move through that resistance?
Sure. First of all, I recommend not writing that first letter all at one time.
Okay.
Give yourself a chance to do it in stages. And after you've written maybe 2 or 3 pages, you might want to stop and take a break. You might want to take a nice hot bath, or take a walk in the park, or a walk on the beach, wherever you happen to be. Just, treat yourself. Maybe it's a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, whatever nurtures you. I would suggest doing after part of that first letter. So don't try to make this a sprint. Don't try to get it all done in 2 days. Give yourself a chance, It's perfectly fine. And it's perfectly fine, by the way, to take more than one crack at that third letter. And the biggest movie stars get.
Uh-oh. Cary, you there?
I'm right here, right here.
Okay, there we go.
Right.
Okay, you said the biggest movie stars.
Yeah, I mean, they make a lot of money, but they don't get every scene right the first time. They have to reshoot a scene.
Got you.
So you may need to do this letter more than one time.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, and sometimes telephones ring to block us. That happens too. So don't let these things stop you. But be gentle to yourself. Be nurturing and kind to yourself.
Love that.
It takes courage to do it, but it's so worth it. So completely worth it.
Yes, yes. Now, what if it's ourself?
You will prosper. What's that?
What if it's ourself? Does this still apply? Like if I need to forgive myself?
Yes, you can do this with yourself, but my recommendation is to do it with another first. It's easier to do this with another person than it is to do it with yourself for the first time. But once you get a feeling for this and a handle on it, by all means, you can do this with yourself. Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Well, now I'm looking at the time. This is such a great conversation. I love this topic. I love it. And so I'm so glad that I found you on the internet.
That's great.
Any final burning nuggets that you want to share that, I need you to really understand this before I get off this interview? Like, what would that be?
It's really hard to prosper when you're really angry at a lot of people. That's number one. And this forgiving is for gaining. If you forgive, you will gain. You will gain in the way of finding peace with someone, and the universe will give you a bonus. And that bonus usually is more money. Sometimes it's more love, and sometimes it's better health, better relationships. But you're the one who will prosper in the process.
Awesome. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Cary, thank you so much for your commitment to the Money Joy Masterclass, because we were on the phone for 45 minutes with the tech people. We tried this on, was it Friday? And you just stuck with me and you said, we're going to make this happen. We're going to get this message out because it's such an important message. And I really feel like we haven't been taught how to forgive, like really forgive somebody. We give lip service to forgiveness. So I just appreciate how you are just transforming lives and just the demeanor and the candor that you bring and the fun. And so I'm so delighted to have you on this masterclass. Thank you so much.
Bless you. Bless you for the great work you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure.
For our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. I know you received some nuggets today. So we're going to ask that you email us back, especially after you try that first letter. We want to know how you're doing. What were some of the takeaways that you grabbed from Cary's dynamic information and wisdom? How are you using this in your life? So go ahead and please email us both because we want to know. So Cary, you also have a free gift that you wanted to share with the audience as well.
That's right. I have an ebook. It's called Magnetizing Money, and it's affirmations for attracting abundance. And so they're great. They're powerful. And I share a very powerful way of using affirmation that goes much deeper than just repeating it over and over again. The people who get this will really see how deep it goes. They're going to like it a lot.
Awesome. So for Cary's gift, there's going to be a link on this website or on this webpage, or I will be emailing it to each of you. So he's offering it up to everyone that is viewing so that you can have your life transformed and magnetize more money, more love, and more prosperity. Karima Rainmaker Stewart here. We are signing off and hoping you'll join us again for another conversation in the Money Joy Masterclass. All right, now go forgive somebody, please. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.